Hey everyone! Let's see who's here. We got the first person to comment was Miwa. Let's see who else is here. Moody, Cosma, Illustrate. Oh, I get it. Illustrate. Ray Ann, Shivana, I am Ben, Keith. Hey Keith. Nightbot. Saying hi to my bot. What's up, Nightbot? Faith and Sam, welcome. If I just said your name, you are extra special because I'm not going to be reading everyone's name. It would take too long. All of you are here early. We're going to get started with the lesson right at the top of the hour. But in the meantime, if you are not at the level for this class, if you want to be able to make your own sentences using the 2 words that we're going to be learning today, these are the prerequisites for the lesson. You actually have enough time to go learn them right now. I have a class about counter words. I have a class about ㄷㄧ. We just did that last week, as well as I have a class about 만큼, which was right before that. So 만큼, we learned, can mean an amount or worth of something. And ㄷㄧ, we learned, can be an amount or worth of something. And today's lesson, ㄷ치 and ㅅ, can mean an amount or worth of something. So hopefully that helps keep them all separate in your mind, but you want to make sure that you know these concepts in order to follow along for today's lesson. If you don't know them, it's actually going to be okay. I'm going to still make the lesson simple enough so you can follow along, regardless if you know these prerequisites, regardless of your level. But if you do want to be able to use the forum on your own without my help, then yes, you'll also want to be familiar with these as well. So yeah, today's going to be an intermediate level lesson, but I will still try to make it accessible for all levels. So don't worry too much about it. But yeah, if you want, go ahead and refresh your memory on these, or just get the outlines. You can find the outlines on my Patreon page. You can read through them really, really quickly. You actually don't need 만큼 for this lesson. So if you want to ignore that, that's okay. But if you do know 만큼, you'll be able to learn an advanced form we're also going to be learning today, which is known as 많지. So if you already know 만큼, you'll be able to learn that. If not, ignore it. You'll still get 99% of the lesson today, even if you just know ㄷㄧ and counter words. Flo, Purdy, welcome. Nasteria, and VYY. Oh, and Small. Yua's asking, does Jeremy like KitKat? Do you mean, oh yeah, so Jeremy does, of course, know KitKat. Jeremy has helped me with filming episodes with KitKat, though you wouldn't see him in them. But yeah, he likes KitKat, but he can't play with KitKat because KitKat's very busy sleeping right now. KitKat's hibernating actually for the winter time. So I don't really want to wake her up unless it's really important. So she's not really hanging out around the house, but she is here ready whenever we need to do work. Out of your 100 beginner course, Miwa asks, which one have people found the hardest? Oh, it's going to be the sound change rules episode, but there's actually a benefit. I mean, it's not a benefit. There's some respite. There's a little bit of relief for anyone who's doing that lesson, as well as lesson 20, which is for conjugating the yo form. I'd say it's those two. there's a bit of relief because I did make some cheat sheets just a month or two ago. And there's a cheat sheet on all the sound change rules and a separate one on conjugation. I'll actually, let me link that in the chat real quick. Let's see, cheat sheets. Right there, okay. There's 6 cheat sheets that I made. So if you're having trouble with either of those lessons, the sound change rules or conjugation of verbs, the cheat sheet has every single thing I talk about in the lesson. I mean, all the rules and lots of examples. So you can actually kind of not worry about that lesson. Just watch the video once, get the hang of it, and then use the cheat sheet for referring to any other new words that you see. Winnie, welcome, our new member, Winnie. I thought this was pre-recorded. No, I do not pre-record any lives. Not yet. Maybe I could do a pre-recorded live. What if I pre-recorded like 1,000 lives? Like I spent a year and I just did like 3 lives every single day, pre-recorded. And then when I'm like 95, okay, I'm being optimistic. When I'm 95 and I kick the bucket, I can still keep uploading them for like 100 more years after that. You know, do like one a month for like 80 years or 100 years. That actually would be really stupid because there's no way that Korean's going to be the same language 100 years from now, let alone 50 years from now. I think we're going to see some more changes. So probably not, but it's a thought. It's a dumb thought, but it's a thought. Nice. Sam says, I think learning after Hangul with its rules, it's become way easier because of the success you achieve of understanding more of the actual language. Yes. Some ways Korean is easier and it's more difficult. After you've learned like sound change rules and conjugation, all the really basic stuff, then it gets easier at the same time that it gets harder, but in different ways. Teji says, your videos have helped me so much. I'm starting to get pretty good at Korean. Nice. Think smarter, not harder. Yes. 만나서 반가워요. 너무 행복해요. Nice. You can label the pre-recorded lives archaic Korean. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do learn archaic Korean with Billy Go, and I'll upload like the most modern Korean expressions I can think of in a lesson and be like, this is Korean from the early 2020s or, you know, mid 2020s or whatever like that, and then schedule it to be uploaded 200 years from today. I could do that. Yeah. And then everyone gets a serious, they're like, what's this garbage? This archaic garbage that sounds like brain rot or something. I don't know. Or they'll be like, why the slang words that we're learning today, they're going to be like, oh, that's so old. My grandmother used that word. Leimida, or I don't know. I've started learning Korean with Sejong Institute since 2021, and whenever I have trouble understanding the grammar, I run straight to your account for an explanation. Nice. The Wizard says, I learned Hangul, and I know most of the sound change rules, but now I'm overwhelmed with how much I have to learn. It doesn't get it. It doesn't. That aspect of Korean doesn't change. But you'll be able to look back and see that you can do stuff now. You've learned a lot and you can do something now with the Korean that you've learned. But the aspect of, I still have so much more to learn is always there. The stuff, I still have so many things to learn. It's not the same thing you're thinking about. You might be thinking, oh, I still have to learn colors and numbers. And I'm thinking, oh man, I still have to learn like less common expressions that might be used by people who are 50 years or older. Oh, I still got to learn less common colors that you might overhear someone using in an idiomatic expression. And like, oh, I got to learn business expressions and emails. That's the kind of stuff I'm worrying about. You're not worrying about that stuff yet, but it's always there. There's no finish line for learning Korean. There's always more that I can learn. And I still study it today. Actually, I haven't studied it today. I will study a little bit tonight. I do studying every day, but hey, Kai, guess who made it to class? Welcome. Yes, just take it day by day. Faith asks, how can I stop translating Korean sentences I hear and just understand them instantly? How long did it take you to stop translating? There is no there was no magical moment where I thought, hey, I understand Korean. That doesn't happen for anyone. I haven't heard of other people say that there is a time when you just start understanding Korean, because it's gradual. There will be a time when you're like, oh, now I do it, but it's not that it happened now. It's just that this was the time you thought about it. And you're like, oh, I guess I can now understand. It's gradual. And it'll depend on the topic. You might feel confident in talking about like your interests and your name and, you know, things like basic things you're going to have with conversations with strangers, that sort of stuff. But if you were to have a conversation about any other topic, you're back to feeling, oh no, what do I say? What helps it go faster though is going to be having enough exposure so that you can hear, so that you're used to hearing the Korean that you're learning. So you need to have a lot of practice outside of just your studies, whether that's watching Korean YouTubers or listening to podcasts or watching variety shows, that sort of thing. You need to be doing that a lot in addition to your studying, as well as you need to have a place to use the Korean that you're learning. So you need to have Korean friends, or you need to have a place you can practice, or you need to be open to speaking out loud by yourself in your room, something that you're using the language for, and you need both of those. But that's really all that it is. And if you're wondering, will it ever happen to me, to you? Yeah, of course. But it takes a lot of that exposure and it takes a lot of practice for that to happen. But yes, it will happen. It's not really like a skill. It's not something you have to be good at to do it. I mean, are you good at learning languages if you're a native English speaker? Like you were born, you just speak English because you were exposed to it as a child. That's why you speak English natively. For Korean or for any foreign language, you need to have a lot of exposure to it and you need to be practicing it yourself. So you need to give yourself enough time to learn that. But yeah, it will happen. Nastaria says, the immersion method is working. I've already learned several new words and I can understand more in Korean videos. Cynthia says, bought the books and watching the beginner course. Nice. I feel like we won't ever not translate unless we learned it from childhood. Not true. I get what you're saying. It is true that if you want to be a native level speaker of another language, you have to be a native level speaker of another language. There isn't a way to be a native level speaker if you're not a native level speaker, because that's not something that you practice and get good at. It's something that you grew into it from a child, or for at least from a young age. I think they say it's like up to, it depends exactly on the study, but about a teenager age. So if you want to have as fluent as possible, as good as possible to where it doesn't matter anymore, you just need to do as much of that exposure and as much of that the practice that someone like that would have gotten. But for an adult, that's going to be hundreds and hundreds of hours a week, right? You're going to be, all your friends are going to be speaking Korean. Everything you expose yourself is in Korean like that. And it's a bit unreasonable for adults to be able to do that sort of thing. But just thinking in Korean is not exclusive to being fluent. You will reach a level where you can think in Korean, the things you're going to say and understand, at an intermediate level. It's not exclusive to people who are fluent in Korean. So that's actually a very reasonable goal. If you think like, oh, I want to be fluent in Korean. You don't have to be fluent in Korean to be able to think and speak in Korean. Fluency is just, a very good level of that. But that sort of thing where you're translating in your head, you're not translating, you're thinking in your head in Korean, basic sentences, and understanding what someone says before you can translate it, you just kind of understood. That sort of thing happens in the intermediate level, after you pass the beginning level stuff. It just gets better as you go further, but it starts right away. After you've learned the basics, your brain already is going to start being able to do that. I'm guessing some people are making resolutions to learn Korean in 2025. Lexica, welcome. 안녕하세요, 빌리 선생님. 새해 복 많이 받으세요. Oh, small typo 받으세요, but that's fine. You might have just slipped your finger on the keyboard. Yes, Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to 2025. Hopefully 2025 will not be that bad. That's my wish for 2025, that it won't be that bad. I think we can all join in that sentiment. Let's see. Miwa says, I always see the ad, but I don't want to pay so early on my journey. Yeah, you don't have to. I know you're not talking about my stuff. You're talking about something else I can't see. I missed it, what you're talking about. I have paid resources, but if anyone else wondering, I have paid resources, but I also have free resources. So my paid resources are my books, like the Korean Made Simple series, Korean Reading Made Simple, and now Korean Conversation Made Simple. Those are my paid products, but I also have more free stuff. I have my beginner course, which is like a complete beginner course. It's basically like the material of Korean Made Simple 1 and 2, kind of summarized a little bit, boiled a little bit down so that it's simpler and just in video form, but that's free. I have other free courses. I have the Master Politeness Levels courses. I have a conversation course, and I have another course, which I'm going to be working on soon if you've checked my community tab. But you don't have to put in money to start learning Korean. Eventually, though, you're going to put in money to it, whether that's paying for drinks to hang out with a Korean friend or buying a plane ticket to Korea. You're going to end up putting money into Korean, but you don't have to do it necessarily at the beginning. People say 6 months to a year. Are you... How long... Okay, someone's asking, MYX, how long does it take to learn Korean well enough to hold a conversation and understand videos? Those are two different amounts. Holding a conversation you can do in an intermediate level, or a beginner level, you can have a simple conversation. Like you can say, 안녕하세요. 저는 빌리라고 합니다. 반갑습니다. 어디서 오셨어요? 한국을 좋아해요. Like you can say, 한국 K-pop을 좋아해요. Like, I like K-pop. What do you like? Where are you from? You can ask these basic things in the beginner level, and that's a conversation. But if you're talking about like conversationally fluent, which is good enough to have conversations on most topics, and where it's not really like limiting your interactions with people that much, you can kind of figure out everything you want. It completely depends on your atmosphere, your environment, and how you're studying. I see someone else was trying to answer that. They're saying 6 months to a year. It would be hard to say that a number, but I don't think 6 months is going to be possible for any sort of practical conversation. Like 6 months, if you're living in Korea and practicing Korean every day, 6 months is enough to get to like basic conversational level. Yeah. A year, sure, you can have basic conversations, but if you're not living in Korea, that's a really short amount of time. And you're saying people have been able to memorize talking in a month? No, that is not possible. I've heard people who have an ability to memorize phrases and words within a month, but it's not a conversation. It's basically like me memorizing a bunch of sentences I want to say and repeating them to someone and controlling the conversation, but it's not going to be enough time to have an actual conversation unless, like I said, any conversation outside of exactly what I have memorized, the structures that I've memorized. Now that's a start to learning a language. That's a good start. But that's not going to be what I would call a actual, it's technically a conversation. You're saying words, they're saying words, but it's not a conversation in that you're not really talking about everything you want to talk about, and you're not letting the other person talk about what they want to talk about. You have to steer the conversation with that low amount of time. So no, not a month, but if you're living in Korea, studying every single day, practicing every single day, a few months, let's just say 5 or 6 months is possible. Yeah. Especially if you are someone who's good at learning languages, or you've done another language before, so you know kind of, I need to do this much studying. You get Korean friends right away. You practice with them. You know that you need to do lots of listening practice, so you get right into that. You get a few resources for studying grammar or things you have trouble with. 6 months, yeah, I'd say you could probably get conversational in that. It just wouldn't be like, it's not going to be fluent, but conversational, sure. Flow, yes, that's correct. Today's lesson and every lesson officially starts at the top of the hour whenever I start the live stream. But I always turn this on a little early just to talk, answer questions. Hey, Colin, welcome. We got our new member, Colin. Miwa says, I've seen YouTube videos of it for Mandarin. I can't speak for Mandarin. I don't speak Mandarin, but I'll tell you that the videos I've seen for Korean, I mean, nope. I'll tell you that. And I wouldn't be this direct about it, except that it's very demotivating for people who are actually trying to learn the language to see someone else claim that they got to a fluent, or sometimes they'll claim native or perfect or anything like that. I'm not calling anyone specifically out. Just going to say I've seen videos like this, but I haven't seen all of them. So if there's one you're thinking I'm talking about, I really don't know. I've just seen whatever randomly popped up in my timeline. But it's demotivating, I think, to tell someone that, look at me, I've learned fluent Korean in this short amount of time, and you don't know if I'm telling the truth or not because you don't speak Korean yourself. Well, I speak Korean. I know what those people sound like. They're not fluent. So don't compare yourself to that sort of thing. If you want to compare yourself to other Korean learners, you're not going to find it on TV. You're not going to find it on YouTube. You're going to find it in language learning communities like chat rooms, meetups, stuff like that. That's where you can find out another person's Korean ability. I feel after sticking to something for 6 months to a year, an individual will have a good idea of their own strengths and what they need. Yeah, I'm hesitant to say that you need this much time to learn Korean. I mean, I'll probably make a video about it in the future again, but I'm hesitant to say like, oh, you need this many months to learn Korean to this level. This is, if you learn for 2 years, you should definitely be at this level. You can't really say that. Everyone learns differently. But let's say you're someone who's really devoted to learning Korean. You're living in Korea. You're practicing it. You have friends, right? You have Korean friends that actually will speak to you in some Korean. You are listening to lots of Korean. Maybe you have a favorite show you watch with Korean subtitles, or you have some YouTubers you like watching, like mukbang videos, and they only speak in Korean and you don't look at the English subtitles. You do that sort of stuff every single day, no matter your age. If you're a teenager or you're an adult or you're, a grandfather or grandmother, give yourself like 6 months of doing that. You're going to get really far. Fluent? No, but like really decent. You'd get probably like at least a general conversational ability from that short amount of time. It's just most people can't put in as much time into Korean as they are for their doing things with their regular language. Even if you live in Korea, it's hard to actually get in a lot of hours of using the language. You're still going to be using English all the time. When you're relaxing in your apartment, you're just tired. You're thinking to yourself in English. You're going to find something in English on Facebook or Reddit or wherever you're searching. You're going to find stuff in English for that. You're going to watch an English video on YouTube. You're going to watch a movie you wanted to watch. It's just hard to get that amount of content. Kai says, how's your tablet doing? It's alive. Like I said, it's working. I usually live stream, and then if it shuts off, that's how I know I've been streaming for way too long that day. And you say, Natalia. Oh yeah, Natalia. I met her. She was cool. Crammed for months, eating, sleeping, and breathing, talked to me in Korean to prepare for her study and abroad, and still wasn't sure where she wanted to be to even start language school. Yeah, and if I were to meet with someone personally and we go over their actual study methods, like the actual things they're doing, I'm sure I could find some flaws in what people are doing if they are not learning fast enough. Like if they've been in Korea studying for 6 months, let's just say our number 6 months, and they're not getting to where they want to be, I'm pretty sure it's going to be due to the way that they're studying. I could probably help them with that, but I can't give like advice to people that I've never met and I don't know exactly how they're studying. Someone might say, I spend 3 hours a day studying. And then I go to their house and I see that they're studying with a redacted book, which I can't say, but it's not Talk to Me in Korean. Those guys are cool. Because we were just saying, talk to me in Korean. Not them, but like just say another random resource that charges lots of money and has been around for a very long time. Or let's just say that. And that's all that they do for their studying. And I might say, well, there's your problem. Or I get to their place and they're like, I do 4 hours of listening practice every single day. And their listening practice is they have BTS albums on loop. Or they say, oh, I do an hour of writing practice a day. And their writing practice is in romanization. I'm kind of painting a picture here of, I can't know your situation unless I personally meet with you and talk with you, because everyone's studying situation is different. And what you're doing that might not work I mean, the amount of time that you're studying, which might not work, someone else could use less time and get more done with it because they're using better resources or they know how to use those resources. So it's just too messy of a question to answer with a simple, like, it takes 6 months, it takes 1 year, it takes 1 month. Like, okay, it doesn't take 1 month ever, but it's a difficult question. I've been going on now for almost 20 years. It's going to be my 20th anniversary this year. I still learn new things every single day. I have friends who've been learning for less time, like, or more time. I have one of my friends learned for 22 years or 23 years or something. And I have another person I know who's been learning for like 9 years. Other people learning for like 6 years or 3 years, and they all have different levels, and it doesn't correlate necessarily to how long they've been studying Korean. And I met someone who had been studying Korean at that point for like 1.5 years, and their Korean was like extremely good because all of that time was spent in Korea. They spoke Korean every single day with their Korean partner. They were only doing Korean materials like that. So it depends for everyone. Everyone's different. Okay. So we're going to be doing a fun lesson today. Of course, we always do fun lessons, don't we? Everything in Korean is fun. Even the stuff that's not fun is fun. Okay, let's see where we are. All right. Got to clap to hype myself up for the most boring lesson in the entire world. No, we're actually going to be doing a lesson that I have never seen taught before. I found some lessons online about this while I was preparing for my example sentences for today, but I couldn't find any video lessons. I can't find any like general lessons except for like a couple blog posts. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I didn't search good enough, but this is not something many people talk about. I don't know why. Oh, hey, Kai. Hold on. We got Kai's donation first, and then we'll start the lesson. Kai, thank you so much. Kai reminding me that she owns the top spot with her Adobe sponsors the 0 minute hour. So I have to say this lesson is brought to you by Adobe. Adobe products, the best products that Billy never would touch with a 13-foot pole, but the best. Thank you so much, Kai. Actually, so the real reason I don't use Adobe is just because it's too expensive. Okay, so for anyone who didn't get that joke, it's because Kai is the board of directors at Adobe, of course. But at least that's what we think. All right, so we're going to be learning a few topics today, and the first one is ochi, and the second one's going to be just chi, which works a little bit differently. So let's start with ochi. Now, ochi, the way it works is it will attach directly after a word. Now, this word is typically let me fix this, a little messy. A money word or a measurement word with a counter attached. So what does that mean? Well, a counter would be like, 개, 병, 마리, anything like that. But if you're using money, then a counter is going to be 1, right? Like if you're counting how many 1 something costs. So if you're using money, you're probably going to use 1, but you could also use like dollars, like 달러, or any other currency you want. Or it can also be used with a measurement word. So, for example, like maybe 그램. So it could be used with like, 3 grams, whatever. 3g 오치, like that. Or 300won 오치, 300won 오치. So that's how it works. It attaches directly after, most of the time, directly after a counter, and that will be an amount of money or some sort of measurement. And we'll see some more examples. And what this suffix, what this word means is a value or something worth of something. I'll leave this up here for just a second and then I'm going to add to this. I'll make it a little bit simpler though. Don't worry. If this sounds a bit complicated, this is the like literal, like technical definition, but I'm going to make it really simple for you in just a second. You're going to be like, oh, duh. As soon as I give you this next thing. Oh, hey, Colin. Thank you. Colin says, I need to be second. All right, Colin. I just have to ask though, since you're right after Kai, are you Kai's boss? Is Kai your boss? If you're okay, blink twice. Okay, let's see. Just going to check the chat for a moment, and then we're going to continue. Winnie says, everyone learns and studies things differently. I've been learning English for over 40 years, and have lived in the US for 5 years. Still so much to learn. Yeah. I don't think I'm ever going to say I've learned enough Korean. I mean, that is, and it's not demotivating to myself. It's because the things I'm learning are now things I actually have to go and learn. Like, if you say, like, I could say I speak Korean well, but can I name every part of a ship? Like, I'm looking at like a little boat on my wall. Do I need to do that kind of thing? No, but I'm trying to find the things that I'm interested in and learning more about those. Alex says, I can't believe you make new content. I bought your book like 7 years ago. Yeah, I still make new content, and more is coming soon. Colin, if you don't get back to work, you're fired. Yes, now we have 2 employees at Adobe who are watching. There's Kai and Kai's subordinate, Colin. I'm just going to say Colin is Kai's personal secretary, if it's okay to assume that. I hope I'm not breaking any NDAs here. Winnie, thank you, Winnie. Winnie also is another new member we have. Winnie, are you also interested in working at this company that Kai owns? I don't recommend it. Okay, so let's make this, first let's make it a little bit more complicated, and then I'll make it a little bit more simple. So, don't worry, it'll make sense. I'm just giving you a lot of Okay. So this ㄷ낳 means, by meaning worth of or value, it means an amount of something, whatever we're using it with, an amount of something that's equal to whatever amount that this word ㄷ낳 is used after. So an amount of something, whatever we're going to use here after this. So this amount is equal to whatever word comes before it. And this word, as we just said, is going to be something like an amount of money or like a measurement. So let's just say like 3,000원, like 3,001. 3,000원 ㄷ낳 means 3,001 is equal to whatever thing it comes after. So that means whatever amount comes after this equals whatever we have here. In this case, with our example, 3,001. So 3,001 amount equals whatever thing it comes after. This will make a little bit more sense in just a second as well. I just want to let you write this up so I can give you the next step. Like I said, there are a few different little steps I want to give you, and I'll put it all together. It'll be really nice and clean. Okay. Oh, Lexica. Thank you, Colin Pisal. Yeah, Colin's the secretary. Lexica. Well, thank you. I didn't know. Oh, wait, yeah, I did see you before. Unless you just came in here. Yeah, I think you just came in here. I didn't see you earlier. Let's see how minute sevens we can fit into 2025 streams. Oh, goodness. What if I set up a live stream that was timed to turn on at like the seven minutes for like just 1 minute every single day? No, every single hour of every single day for the entire year. I found an infinite money glitch. It would just have to be, if you set up an automatic bank transfer when my live streams go live, if they're live at 7 minutes, then I think it would work. It would be an infinite money stream straight from Lexica's account into my account. but I'm too lazy to set that sort of thing up. I have too many lessons to work on. So I don't think I'll do it for right now. Yes. Okay. All right. I'm going to erase this. I'm going to write a little more. And if you're feeling like, oh, I don't get it, don't worry. These are just notes I'm giving for notes. Notes I'm giving you for notes. These are just notes about how the form works, like literally, to kind of give you more perspective. But there's a really easy way to translate this that you're going to see soon. Okay, so and then as we compare this with jari, it'll make even more sense. You'll be like, duh, this is so easy. Actually, not by, but in. Ochi is used. So let's take our example of 3,001. So 3,000원 ochi. So 3,001 worth or 3,001 value. Remember, it's going to equal whatever it comes before. So whatever comes after will equal that amount. And this is used when you're going to be counting an item which is counted by its weight or counted in money, and not an item that you're going to be counting individually. So this is not what you would use to say, I bought a 3,001 umbrella. This is what you would say for something that's counted in its weight or something that's counted in its money. So can you think of anything that you would purchase which would be counted in weight, or that you would purchase by the amount of money that it is, and not something that you're necessarily counting individually? What could there be? Can you write some ideas in the chat of things that you might purchase by weight or things that you might purchase in an amount of money? For example, 3,001. What could you buy by 3,001? Or what could you buy by, let's say, 300 grams? Give me 30 grams of onions. Oh, that worker is going to be pissed. If you're like 300 grams of onion, they're going to be like, you're asking me to cut you 300. They're going to like swear while they're like chopping it up. Is that all? It doesn't even register on my scale. But yes. Bananas. If they're small bananas, yeah. If these are small bananas where you purchase them by an amount of money or by a measurement, then yes. If they are big bananas, like if you're buying regular bananas from like Trader Joe's, those are sold each. So you wouldn't use, well, I mean, you could use this, like I want $10 of bananas. But anyway, oh, I almost gave away the secret. 50-pound bag of rice, yeah. Grams of butter, okay. Candy, flour, street food snacks like nuts, yeah. Peanuts, shrimp, okay, yeah. Apples, gas, kamja. ARP says something that I can't repeat. Sure. 5,000원 ochi. Alex Friedman. Hold on there. Don't get ahead of yourself. You got to let me reveal the answers to these. Meat, yes. Tangkong, yes. Goguma, yes. I see Valeria already has a sentence there. Groceries, concrete. To be fair, Trader Joe's is its own thing. That's true. Yeah, Trader Joe's is its own thing. Okay, yeah. So, I'm checking the chat, and I see a lot of you have some good answers, like flour, potatoes, snacks, peanuts, things like that. Yeah, meat, anything that's counted in its weight. So you might get meat. You're not going to buy 3,001 piece of meat. You're going to buy 3,001 worth of meat, right? Your target is to spend 3,001, so you're going to buy 3,001 worth of meat, or 300 grams of meat. Whatever you're talking about when it has to do with anything that you're talking about that is counted by its weight or by its value, you're going to be using 어찌. Okay, there is a very simple way to translate this word, 어찌. Can anyone guess? There's one word you can use to translate this. Can anyone guess in the chat before I write it? I'll just let you know, there is one single word, super simple, that you can translate this word as in every single situation. Which is why I'm surprised I couldn't find any other lessons of this grammar form. I think it's just because it's a little bit less, it's a little bit obscure. It's not quite the most common, like essential form. And by the time people learn this form, they're already advanced. And by the time you're advanced, you already naturally learn this form from seeing it so many places. So I think it's not really like you need to have a lesson about it, but yeah, we got it. The Tengri says real estate. No, not real estate. You're not going to count that. Ramen. I mean, I guess you could, but sure. Yeah. D-Heart. D-Heart. You have the answer. Mikey has the answer. CDVS. Yes, it is something worth. Yes. I said that first, but yes, that is also a way to translate it. There is a super easy way to translate this. And that is of. An amount of something. So if you're buying 3,000원, like 3,001, 3,000원 어치, and then whatever you put after here. So let's say apples. Well, that is 3,001 of apples. Note everything that I taught already. It's used to mean an amount of something that's equal to whatever amount it's used after. So if you say 3,001 of peanuts, it means peanuts are worth, right? This amount is equal to whatever comes here. So that would be peanuts that are worth 3,001. Or I also said that it's something that's worth an amount of money or measurement. So actually I already said that. It's also used, I said, for items that are counted in their weight or money and not counted individually. So you're not going to buy peanuts like one at a time, right? You buy them in an amount, in either a measurement amount or a monetary amount, right? So 3,001 worth of peanuts, or peanuts worth 3,001, kind of, maybe, or just naturally 3,001 of peanuts, or whatever word you use here. That's the secret to this word. However, you have to keep in mind it's only going to be used with measurements or money. You're not going to be using this with other random sort of counters. Nastaria, that is perfect. If I can live until 2,999, I'm going to get so much money from you, Nastaria. I'm just warning you. I'm going to live until 2,999 just to show you. Thank you so much, Nastaria. $25 for the first quarter of the hour. So what's that? 974 more years? I can do it. No problem. Yeah. Cynthia. Thank you, Cynthia. Sorry. I don't know where that pronunciation came from. Thank you, Cynthia. I haven't seen you talk here, or have you, and I missed it. Send me a message. I'll read it. Nastaria says, I'll make sure to start saving now, or you better. Mark my words. 2,999, I'm going to be standing right here in the same spot, and I'm going to be like, you promised, Nastaria. You promised. Let's see. 5 pounds of apples. Yeah. So Keith asks a good question. Can you have an amount of time? The answer is yes and no. And wait. Wait, Keith. But I like where your mind is going. You will get your dream will come true before the end of this lesson, I promise you. Okay, but not with this, not 어찌. Okay, so before we do some example sentences, there's one more thing you need to know, and that is you also can see the possessive marker 의 used before whatever word it's used. So you might see something 어찌 의 something, or you might just see something 어찌 something. just know that you might also see this as well. Literally, that's because what you get is, with our example of 3001, 3,000원어치의 땅콩. You have 3,001 worths peanuts. Like, this describes how many peanuts you have in that sort of sense. So you might also see this. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so let's do an example. Most of the time, though, that's not how you're going to see it. And you'll see why once we get the examples on the board. Okay, if you're a beginner, just go up to here, like 사서, and change it to 샀어요, I bought. You don't have to worry about the longer sentence if you're still a beginner, but you can still understand 어치 without that. So, 고기, meat, 고기를 $100 어치. So here, dollar. So $100 worth of meat. 사서, because I bought, 너무 많아요. I have too much now because I bought $100 of meat. 고기를 $100 어치 사서 너무 많아요. Now, depending on the type of meat that you buy, this might or might not be that much. If I were to go to Whole Foods, I might be able to get enough to make a hamburger. But if I go to like, a regular store, it would probably be a lot of meat for $100. 고기를 $100 어치 사서 너무 많아요. So here, 어치, again, it's an amount that's equal to whatever amount it's used after. In this case, 고기. So worth $100 of 고기, or $100 of meat. So most of the time, you're going to see it used like this, where you're not just saying like something 어치 with a noun, but you're saying you did something, or you're doing something to a word, in this case, meat, and then you use this after it to describe how much of that word there is. So here we have the here we have the word meat first, and then the amount of it, and then what we're doing with the verb. In this case, we bought it, so we have too much of it. Okay, I'll leave this up for a minute so you can write it down and think about it. I have 3 more sentences of this form, but if you get it, that's it. That's all there is to it. Sometimes your mannerisms remind me of Steve from Blue's Clues. I will take that as a huge compliment. I didn't grow up with Blue's Clues because I was already like a teenager when that show was coming out. So I didn't get it as a kid. That's how old I am. No, I mean, I'm not really old, but like I just missed that age. So, but I watched it sometimes as a teenager, especially if I didn't go to school because I was sick, so sick. I'd watch it because at the time Nickelodeon had a Nick Jr. the early time in the day was Nick Jr. when they assumed that kids were home from school, like younger kids or preschoolers who didn't go to school. And they wouldn't show regular cartoons. I didn't have Cartoon Network. That was a special paid channel. But kids who were staying home from school or whatever, or little kids would watch that. And I would sometimes watch it too. And it was like really like sincere and fun. And yeah, I liked it. I just didn't become a fan, but I liked it. I appreciate it. Yeah. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. Wonder who it's from. Kind of, yeah. But I didn't take any inspiration from him, I promise. I just know exactly what you're talking about. And I can't remember anything else he said. Like, oh, there's that mail song. Here's the mail, it never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail. Something like that, yeah. but I don't remember like his actual things he would say. I just remember a couple of the songs. Anyway, okay. In Korean, Kai says, sing it in Korean. I don't know if it's in Korea. I'm sure it must have been, right? I'm going to bet though that it was in English in Korea because it would have been intended for kids to learn English the same way that Dora the Explorer in other languages, most other languages, Dora the Explorer actually speaks English in other country versions of Dora the Explorer. She teaches whatever language is most applicable to the people in the country where she's localized. So like in Spain, she doesn't speak Spanish, she speaks English. And in Korea also, she speaks English. So I would assume that Blue's Clues is just in English, if they have it at all. Okay. Let's do another one. 콩나물. Actually, we don't need the object marker here. Let's rewrite that. 2,000 어치. Actually, 2,000원 어치, sorry. I should probably check. 어치. This is the most common type of sentence you are going to use 어치 in. Something, one 어치 주세요. Please give me something, one amount of whatever you're trying to buy. That's not counted individually, but is counted by money. This is the most common way you're going to see it. In this case, 콩나물 is bean sprouts. 콩나물 2,000원, so 2,001. 어치, worth, so 2,001 worth of bean sprouts 주세요. So please give me $2 essentially, $2 worth of bean sprouts. So give me this much worth of whatever you're getting. This is going to be the most common way you're going to see it. So I would actually just recommend writing down this exact expression here, something one 어치 주세요. And then whatever you want, you can just replace it. So if you want to ask for, give me 5,001 worth of pizza. I don't know, do you buy pizza like that? No. Cheese, okay? Flour, anything that you want to buy, 고기. In fact, I want you to make a sentence really short. I want you to make a really short sentence that asks for something with not a dollar. Well, you could use $1 if you want, $1 or $1 or some sort of amount. I want you to make a really short sentence in chat just to practice, because this is like 99% of the cases where you're going to see this. This might be the reason why I couldn't find other lessons about 어치, because this is just, you're just going to see it like this. It's one of those things where you learn it really quick. Reading Rainbow. Yeah. Oh, I got into Reading Rainbow. I can go twice as high. Take a look. It's in a book. Reading Rainbow. Ah, yeah. I remember that song. I got Reading Rainbow, but then that was like, this was like early 90s Nickelodeons. No, that was PBS actually, I think. But I watched both. So I had Bill Nye the Science Guy, Magic School Bus. Yeah, a lot of that stuff. In Germany, she teaches English as well. That's right. I think there are a couple of versions of Dora the Explorer where she doesn't teach English, where she teaches like another similar language that's like to another local country that they would use. But most of the time it's English. Let's see. Bill. Yeah. 붕어빵 7,000원 어치 주세요. Okay, yeah. Give me 7,001 worth of 붕어빵. Ice cream 5,000원 어치 주세요. I mean, okay. However, Nastaria, if you are buying ice cream, buy the one that's gonna be kind of nasty. Like this, you can imagine someone sitting on the side of the street with this like open bucket of ice cream that's just melting in the heat, and you're like, yeah, let me get 5,001 worth of that, and they're like scooping it onto a scale. It's like sliding around on the metal, and then they push it over into a plastic bag and then hand it to you. You probably are not going to be buying ice cream by the dollar amount, but as long as you get that, your sentence is grammatically perfect. Typically, you're going to be buying ice cream by the unit. So you're going to say, let me get 5 ice cream. 5개 주세요, right? You don't need to really use 어치 for that. Yeah, Magic School Bus, which I didn't know this, but apparently it's, who is that? Hold on. Little Richard, I think, is the singer for the Magic School Bus theme song, which is like ridiculous. I didn't know he did that, but yeah, that's like, it's like one of those uncredited things. Kind of like uncredited, like, oh, there's other things like the B-52s did the theme song for Rocko's Modern Life. Like there's like lots of theme songs that are done by famous celebrities, but they don't get credit in them. 녹차 4,000원 어치 주세요. Yeah, if you're buying loose tea. Exactly. 사과 5,000원 어치 주세요. Yeah, if you're buying it by the value and not necessarily by the individual amount. I can't handle Bear in the Big Blue House slander. I never saw Bear in the Big Blue House, so I can't talk about that. But if we're going to talk about creepy shows, then does anyone remember, or you'd have to be my age, you'd have to be actually older than me to know what I'm talking about, because I didn't get this show except when I was really young, and that is Eureka's Castle. That is some messed up, like, that's like nightmare fuel for kids. And it's not that it was scary, it's just that I always got this like really creepy vibe whenever I watched it. But that would be like a little bit older than me, or at least my age. You probably know what I'm talking about. But I didn't get Bear in the Big Blue House. I do remember advertisements for it. Mikey says, Billy, did you cut your finger with the kinsu? No. So I cut my finger. Actually, I 3D printed a little toy for my kid. And while I was removing the 3D print, like there are pieces on it, I pulled too hard and it poked a really big gash into my thumb and like pulled out I'm trying not to describe it too much, but it like punctured really bad and it was bleeding a lot. So this is like my 5th Band-Aid, but it stopped. It's good now. It's okay now. It doesn't hurt or anything. I'm fine. It's just that, yeah, it was kind of bad yesterday. Okay. Eureka's Castle. Judy says, it seemed like it was made by hippies or something. You're probably not too far off. Yeah. I do remember the theme though. It's like Eureka's Castle. And I think it was a Jim Henson production. So it had those kind of like uncanny valley puppets that would interact with people, kind of like a Muppets type of show. But instead of like Muppets, which were like goofy, this was like serious, like Dark Crystal. It was like Dark Crystal, the kids show, if that's the best way I can describe it. So yeah, it was just kind of weird, but yeah, I think my older sister liked it. Actually, can we still see this clearly? I'm going to switch pens because I think this is too light for writing these sentences. Let's just go back to blue. Oh, I kind of ran out of space. Let's rewrite that part. Okay. Let's do an example now that's not money. We saw 2 examples with money. We had one with dollars and one with one. But let's do one with a measurement. So in this case, kilo, which is a kilo, or in this case, kilogram. 삼겹살, pork belly. 삼겹살 2kg어치는 얼마예요? So 얼마예요 is how much is it? So how much is 2 kilograms worth of 삼겹살? 삼겹살 2kg어치는 얼마예요? Now, we could have used this in a different way too. We of course could have just said 2kg어치 주세요, right? Give me 2 kilograms of 삼겹살. That's fine. But I want you to see that it's not only used with money. You can also use it with a measurement, and that's most commonly going to be a weight. I'm trying to think, is there something that you would purchase by like liters. Bathwater? I don't know. But anyway, here's an example of a weight. So yeah, it's going to be a weight, an amount. Most commonly, though, this will still be used with money. So you're going to be seeing it with one ochi 99% of the time. Now, Boobas, that was a messed up show. What country is that? Boobas, I've never heard of that. Was that the Mall Muppets show? What? Wait, Flo, wait, did you said I made my bottom of the hour pledge for $20, but I didn't post here? Probably because I made, wait, what? Really? Hold on. I don't think it, did it go through? Can you check? Because I don't see it on my, either of my screens or on here. Let me check. I can check in my YouTube account. If you did, it should show up in YouTube, the actual account, because that's where I can see everything. Okay, I'm going to check really quick. Let's see, earn. Super, was it a super chat? Yeah, it didn't go through. Yeah, I don't think it went through. But if it did, talk to YouTube, or like, I don't know, but I don't see it even in the account. Okay, shampoo, juice, gasoline, sure. Although you wouldn't say, give me $20 of gasoline. You'd usually just tell them how much, just directly how much you want to put in. But I've never gotten gas in Korea because I don't have a car in Korea. Juice, oil. It'll reverse eventually if it didn't go through. Yeah, I don't think it went through. If it's delayed, it'll go through later. If not, it'll just reverse. But thanks for letting us know. It was made by the guy that made Oh God, okay. That tells me everything. That tells me everything I need to know. Several of you seem to know about this show, Boobas. Okay. I don't remember much about Booba, but it scared me. I didn't watch Teletubbies. That was way after that. I was already a teenager, and that show, so there was no reason I was going to get into a show that was made for like literal like infants. Okay. 삼겹살 2kg 어치는 얼마예요? So how much is 2 kilograms of 삼겹살? I can tell you 2 kilograms of samgyeopsal, if you buy it from the store, it's like good, decent quality. You're probably going to be paying like, I don't know, 50, 60 bucks. You don't even think about buying that at a restaurant though, because they charge by the 100 gram or 200 gram or 250 gram, depending on the restaurant. And typically that will be like 15 to 20,000 won-ish, also depending on the restaurant. You would spend a lot of money if you walked into like a fancy restaurant and got 2 kilograms of samgyeopsal at like a nice place. But it's okay. You wouldn't even be able to eat that much because it comes with sides and stuff. Actually, I need more space. Yeah, there's that show. And then there was also David the Gnome I used to watch sometimes, if anyone knows what that is. It was like a cartoon. It was kind of like it's kind of similar to like the Care Bears show. That kind of like mood to it. It was like a fantasy setting with like a little gnome that flew around. It was kind of weird too. I don't know why these I didn't watch these shows that much. Okay. I know Teletubbies. I was also a teenager when I see some episodes. Okay. All right. 가게에서. So at the store, or in this case, it's actually going to be from the store. 천만. Now a man is 10,000. So what is 1,000, 10,000? Well, that is 10 million. So 1,000,000 won is 10 million won. 어치, so an amount worth 10 million won. 훔치다 is to steal. So 훔쳤어요. You can think of it like that. In this case, 훔쳤대요. So I heard ㅅṕ해요. I heard that someone, we don't know who, I heard that someone or they stole 10 million won worth from the store. So I heard they stole 10 million won's worth of something from the store. Maybe they got like 2 iPhones or something. 가게에서 1,000,000원 어치를 훔쳤대요. So I heard that they or someone stole 10 million won's worth from the store. Here, we don't have a word that says what it is that they took. We don't have like iPhone, like iPhones or anything like that. It's just of something. So that we could translate this as just 10 million won's worth. You don't really need to have the word there for what kind of thing it is that they stole. Just that it's that much worth of something. Okay, this is the last example for 어치, but we have another topic we also have to talk about. So I need to kind of hurry up, but David the Gnome, Maya the Bee. I didn't see Maya the Bee. You like David the Gnome? Okay. I didn't get into it, but I did watch it sometimes. Will says he stole it. He said he won it. Yes, actually, he stole it. That's almost all. Oh, God. One of these days, I swear, one of these days we're going to find out Kai actually is working at Adobe. And I'm just going to leave. I'm just going to like quietly leave. My channel will just shut down. There will be no notice. Just be like, where's Billy? I haven't seen him in a while. Like every like record of me having existed, it's just gone. 10 million of damages. Yeah, it could be that too. Okay. So before we go on to the next topic, which is chi, which is mostly the same, but a little bit different, I want to talk about 2 words. Who can tell me the difference between won 어치, which we just did, or 원짜리? Because these are actually very different. Both of these could translate to one worth. One worth. But their usages and their actual meanings are a bit different. So who can tell me something about it? If you can't, don't worry, I'll give you the answer. Just want to see if anyone already knows. Yeah, Kai's like, don't worry about it. 300원 어치, 300원 정도, 300원 만큼, 300원 만. All different. Why doesn't it say someone stole 10 million won worth of stores? Because we're using the 가게에서, meaning from a store. We didn't say 가게 1,000,000원 어치 훔쳤대요. That would be someone stole $10 million, sorry, not dollars, won, worth of stores if you marked it like that. But because we have 에서, it means from the store. So it could not mean store. I'm sorry, it couldn't mean that they took the store, but they took something from the store. Small says, isn't 짜리 like each or per? Yes. Yes. 짜리 is just like a number counter in general. Not quite, but it is. It actually is worth the amount. 짜리 is something worth the amount. We'll talk about it, don't worry. Yes, 짜리 is a thing's worth. Yes. Okay. It's okay if you didn't know. I just kind of wanted you to think about it for a second. Now, what I'm going to tell you actually applies to any monetary value. So you might see 달러 어치 or 달러 짜리. But let's just look at it like this. 원 어치 and 원 짜리. So, 짜리 typically describes one item. And we just learned that ㄷ이 is used, and we just learned ㄷ이 is used for counting things that aren't counted individually, but they are counted by a amount of money or maybe by a measurement, like by kilograms or something like that. 짜리, though, is used just for counting individual items. So you might count one item with this. Now, you could also count more items, but each time you use this, you are talking about one item is worth this much. Whereas one ㄷ이 is multiple things that maybe you can't count, like flour or candy or something, that is worth one. So let me give you a practical example. When you see it practically, it'll make more sense. So let's just say we bought 5,000 won of candy. You could have either 5,000원짜리 사탕 or 5,000원 어치 사탕. There is a big difference between these two. So much that you would never swap them. So first of all, we just talked about this one, 어치. So an amount of candy that's worth 5,000 won. So this would be like you weigh it on the scale and you get $5 worth, about, right? That's 5,000원, that's 5,000원 어치 사탕. You're not sure how many there are, but together it's worth 5,000 won. 5,000원짜리 사탕 is totally different. This is candy that is worth 5,000 won. Now, it's going to be a piece of candy that's worth 5,000 won. So if you have a really nice candy, it's like fancy, it has different colors, you can chew on it for a long time, or it like makes different shapes or flavors or whatever, it's expensive. It is a 5,000원짜리 사탕. A 사탕, a candy that is worth 5,000 won. Whereas this is candy worth 5,000 won. This one you could translate as 5,000 won of candy, right? This one you wouldn't translate as 5,000 won of candy. You would translate it as 5,000 won candy. Just like that. And if you missed last week's lesson, we talked about this, how 짜리 is used for connecting a counter word directly to the noun. So an easy way to translate it is just to say the first part with the counter and then to say the word, and no translation will make it make sense. So 5,000 won candy. That's the translation for 5,000원짜리. That's it. And this one would be 5,000 won worth of whatever it comes after. Sorry, whatever it comes before. Let's look at one more example. That's messy. Let's try again. There we go. Okay, which one of these would you more likely use? Which one of these sounds more natural? 5만원짜리 우산. 우산 means an umbrella. Or 우산 5만원 어치. Which one would you probably say 샀어요, I bought, or 주세요, please give me at a store? Now, I'll let you know both of these are grammatically fine. You could say 5만원짜리 우산 주세요, or 우산 5만원 어치 주세요. You can say both of them. One of them, though, the worker's probably going to like squint, look really confused if you say, and the other one is more common. Yeah. Yes. Yes, yes. Yeah, Tiffany says jadi is like price. Well, when it's used with one, yes. When it's used with another counter, no. But this is just for the Jawbreaker company. Let's test human tooth breaking point. That is right. Okay. 우산 is umbrella. Yes, the first one. Yes. So, first we have 5만 원짜리 우산. So, an umbrella that's worth 5만 원, 50,000 won. Or we can translate this as 50,000 won umbrella. So, you have an umbrella, it's a 50,000 won umbrella. You could buy a 50,000 won umbrella. You could ask for a 50,000 won umbrella. You could say, hey, look at this. It's a 50,000 won umbrella. But this one doesn't mean that. This one means 5만 원 어치, 50,000 won worth of umbrellas. So maybe you buy a bag of random assorted umbrellas, but that bag is worth 50,000 won. It's just 50,000 won of umbrellas, which is kind of a weird way, unless you buy your umbrellas in bulk. It's kind of a weird way to talk about umbrellas. You could, but you most likely are going to use the first one. Because when you're buying an umbrella, you're not just going to buy a value of umbrellas, right? You want an umbrella. Or maybe I want to buy 5만 원짜리 우산을 5개 샀어요. I bought 5 of them. Or I bought 10개 샀어요. I bought 10개 샀어요. I bought 10 of them, for example. You would buy a number of them because they're nice and expensive. You're not just going to buy, $10 worth of umbrellas. That's kind of weird. Or $50 worth. You're going to probably just buy individual umbrellas that are valued at a certain amount. So both of these are correct, but one of them is a bit awkward. Okay. The next thing that we're going to talk about is related to ochi. And that is chi. It looks like ochi, but there's no o. Now, chi works the same way as ochi, but with an amount of time. And while ochi attached directly to the word, chi, there is a space. So whatever time word you're using, add a space and then chi. Although you might not see Korean native speakers actually follow this rule. They might just attach it. It's supposed to be separate. There's an exception to that, which I'll talk about. But yeah. Okay. So this originally comes from, let me see if I can actually write it okay. There's 3 there. Wait, is that? Yeah. And then something like that. This originally comes from a hanja. I know I didn't write it very well, which is pronounced as chi. And this means, in Korean, kap, which means a value or a price. However, you don't really need to know this information at all because chi is not used with a money amount or a measurement like we had before. It actually is just used with time. So again, this is only used with an amount of time. Let me give you an example. Oh, ochi also probably came from that exact same one, but I wasn't able to find conclusively. We don't really know exactly where the o in ochi came from, but the chi part probably is also the same thing. Okay. So you can have this after like 시간, like in amount of hours, or maybe you can have it after a number of days, like haru is 1 day. Or you can have it after like a week or a month or anything you want, any sort of amount of time followed by chi. There is a very simple way to translate this, just like there was for ochi. Can anyone guess, before I let you know, before I give you any examples, can anyone guess the simple way to translate this? There's one word that's really short, just like before, but it's not of. I mean, you could translate it as of, but there's another way. similar, both otsi and jari. In English, they are similar, but in Korean, they're very different. Yes. Otsi is like buying something which is worth a certain amount. Yeah, something that you're not going to be counting. Long? No, not quite. Long, that would be with jari. Jari with the time can translate as long, like 3시간짜리 영화, like a movie that's 3 hours long, or a 3-hour movie. But not for this, not in. Okay, I'll just tell you. A really easy way to translate this is the word for. So you can translate this as for that amount of time. And you also might see the possessive marker 의 added as well, but just keep that in mind. Okay, so let me give you an example sentence. Oh, actually, let's do this a little bit longer. 저번에 잔 것 같아요. Okay. There might be a few words in here you don't know, so I'll go over this one word at a time. 이틀. 이틀 is the pure Korean word for 2 days. So one day is 하루, 2 days is 이틀. So 이틀치. So 2 days worth. In this case, the time is 2 days. So whatever is going to come after this is going to be that amount worth of whatever we're using it in, whatever we're talking about. So in this case, 잠을 자다 is to sleep. 한꺼번에. You can write this down. This means at once, in one go. 한꺼번에. So at once, 잔 것 같아요. So I think, or I feel like I slept for 2 days at once. In this case, an amount that's equal to 2 days. So again, we're now working with time, not a money or a measurement, but a time. So 2 days worth of sleep. You can think of it like that. So I feel like I slept for 2 days at once. Not saying that I slept during 2 days, but I feel like I've slept a 2-day period at once for 2 days. 2 days worth of sleep. So again, it works the same way as otsi, except for time. I'll leave this up for just a minute, and I'll give you a few more sentences. There was 시간, 하루, and another one that I don't know what it was. Oh, that's okay. There are actually a lot of these, so I didn't want to write them up because you can see it for like days, weeks, months, like all that stuff is fine. Years, hours, minutes, seconds, anything like that. But I think I only just wrote down those two and 달 anyway, which is for month. So you didn't really miss anything from that. Okay, almost ready. I'm going to give you the next sentence. Okay, next sentence. Oh, I should also note that if you're using a few words, they will attach with chi directly without a space. And one of those is haru. Now, itter is 2 days, haru is 1 day. And if you're using haru with chi, it actually attaches as one word. So haruchi would be 1 day's worth of whatever it's used with. There are a couple other words that also attach directly. I'll point them out as we see them. Okay. Okay, I want you to fill in the blank with anything that you want. So, 약국 is a pharmacy. So, 약국에서, from the pharmacy, 약을 사다, to buy medicine, 약을 살 거예요. So, I will 살 거예요. I will buy medicine from the pharmacy. How much medicine am I going to buy? Now, we could use 어치 if we're saying a dollar amount, or like an amount of money. We could say kilo, right? If you're buying kilograms of medicine or something, but you probably wouldn't. You're probably not going to go to the pharmacy and say, let me get 20 bucks of your best stuff. Yeah. Like, you're not going to buy medicine from the pharmacy for a dollar amount. That doesn't make any sense. Nor would you be like, give me 5 kilos. They're like, of what? Like, what? But you could buy an amount of days worth of medicine, right? You can say, hey, I need aspirin for 7 days or something like that before Sadako comes to get me. I need something for 3 days or a week or a month, right? So I want you to fill in the blank with anything that you think is appropriate. Hey, Kai. Thank you, Kai. Kai's top of the hour. Love that Adobe money. This is where I say this lesson is sponsored by Adobe every time Kai donates. Thank you, Kai. Can we use it for doses? No, you would use a dosage counter or an individual item counter. Because remember, it's not for counting things. Specifically, you might have missed the beginning of the lesson, but specifically it's used for things that aren't counted. 한 달치 약을 살 거예요. Perfect, Kiwi Bear. 세 달치. Perfect. Nyla, 일주일치. 1 week. Perfect. 한 달치. Yes. Perfect. 한 달치. Yes. 일주일치. 5일치. Yes. 한 달치. 세 달치. Keith. Yes. Mikey as well. Jihoon. Yes. You would want to use chi though after that, but yeah. I see. Oh, Jihoon was actually responding to someone else. Okay. And Shayla Harrison is, I think you might have missed the lesson, so you might want to check back, scroll back, or wait for the abridged version. Yes, 1 week's worth. Nasteria, you want to use what you wrote is 다섯, which is just 5, but you need to have a counter there. Remember, a time counter. So if you want to have 5 days, you'd use 5일, right? Or, I mean, you could use 다세 if you happen to know the pure Korean number for 5, but I wouldn't use that. So you could use 5일치 약을 살 거예요. Like, I'm going to buy 5 days worth of medicine. Okay. So, 약국에서, from the pharmacy, 약을 살 거예요. 사다, to buy. So, 살 거예요. I will buy 약, medicine, from the pharmacy. How much? 일주일, 1 week. 치, worth. Sorry, this shouldn't be spaced. It kind of looks like it's spaced there. 일주일, 치. So 1 week worth of medicine. So I'm going to buy 1 week's worth of medicine from the pharmacy. 약국에서 일주일치 약을 살 거예요. So I'll buy a week's worth of medicine, or medicine for a week, at the pharmacy. 약국에서 일주일치 약을 살 거예요. And you can change this to any amount that you need. 3일치 옷 챙겨갔어요. So I took care of clothes for 3 days. 챙겼어요. Sorry, you didn't add the 갔어요. I added that. 챙겼어요. So yeah, I packed, or I got ready clothes for 3 days. Could you also use dollar amounts with jari? Yes, you can. We had the example of 원짜리 or 원어치 just a moment ago. Annie Ebbes, I just bought your books. Nice. Welcome. 약국에서 5일치 약을 살 거예요. Yes. 인생치 is a different word. That's not used with a time word. That's a different word itself. That's simply using the word 치, but not this grammar form. Okay. 여섯 달 치. Okay. 여섯 달, 6 months, 치. Sorry, I keep adding a... Wait, why did I... No, okay, that's why I keep adding a space, because it's supposed to have a space. I was thinking of haruchi, and then I started removing the space from ochi. It's supposed to have a space. I said that before, and I don't know why I removed it again. 여섯 달, 6 months, 치. Worth of, again, worth of time, so 6 months worth of 방, 값. 방 is room, 값 is price. So this is rent, literally room price, the price of the room. 방값을 미리, in advance. 미리 냈어요. 내다 is to pay. So I paid in advance 6 months of rent. So rent for 6 months. I paid rent for 6 months in advance, or I paid 6 months of rent in advance. 여섯 달치 방값을 미리 냈어요. I'll leave this up for just a minute, and then we have one more example for this before we have our final form for today. Yes, not 다섯치. Since there wouldn't be a counter, you would want to have some sort of counter there. So 5일치. Okay, another 30 seconds, and then I'll give you your last sentence for 치. 여섯 달치 방값을 미리 냈어요. So I paid 6 months of rent in advance. Or ahead of time, 미리. Okay. You know what show also I liked, but doesn't exist anymore due to copyright reasons? They can't release them on DVD or anything, was Muppet Babies. I used to watch that show. I wasn't like that young either when it was out, but it was just funny to watch. Anyone else watch that show? Muppet Babies? It was like Muppets, but they would show, it was seriously like advertising movies and shows for kids. So they would always like incorporate what they're talking about into like clips of like TV shows and stuff like that. I used to watch that, as well as Tiny Toons. I watched that a lot. Every episode of Tiny Toons. Muppets. Yeah, Muppets are great. Anything Muppets is pretty good. I'm of the opinion, and I've heard other people express this too, that they should remake famous movies with Muppets. Like, whatever famous movie. Do Dune. Make Dune with Muppets. Like, just do it. Like, any famous movie, just remake it. But with Muppet movies that you would never want to see remade, like Back to the Future do it with Muppets. I'm okay with that. That would be awesome. Can you imagine, like the Doc being the Falcon, the bird, the serious bird or whatever, and then maybe Marty would be. Oh gosh, who would Marty be? That's a good question. Who would they cast for Marty? No, maybe Gonzo would be the Doc. Gonzo would have to be the Doc for that. But anyway, you could totally like remake movies with Muppets. I think it would be great. Okay. I'm not the first person to express that, but I agree with it. Okay. 이게. So 이것이. Same thing. 이게 this. 다, all of this. 도대체. 도대체, you can actually not you actually don't need to translate this because it's a adverb that adds emphasis to the sentence, kind of like, what in the world? It's just used for emphasis, like what in the world? And it's used when you're asking questions like how or why or who or where, like that. 도대체 얼마? How much? 얼마치? In this case, since it's 얼마치, we know it's going to be how much time, for how much, like how much time's worth of is all of this. So 이게 다 도대체 얼마치야? So how much is all of this worth in time? As in, how much time is this for? Like if you're looking at, for example, we had the person buy medicine. In our example where the person bought medicine for a week, maybe you see this pile of medicine at someone's house and you're like, 이게 다 도대체 얼마치야? Like, how much is this all for? And then the person replies like, oh, it's 6 months, right? Or maybe it's how much rent, like you're paying rent in advance. And the person would ask, how much is this for? Like how long, as in how much time is this worth for? So, 얼마치, 얼마어치, 얼마짜리 are all slightly different. If you can't see why, that's okay. You might want to think about it a bit, but you could have 이게 다 도대체 얼마어치야? And that would be if you're talking about like a pile of like meat or a pile of like something that's not counted, then how much is all this worth? Or you can have 얼마짜리. 이게 얼마짜리야? How much is this one thing worth? Or each of these things, how much are they worth? So they're all a little bit different. I just wanted to include 얼마치 in here, but you could have 얼마짜리, 얼마치, 얼마어치, and they're all slightly different. But again, just look at the last part of it. 치, in this case, it has to be an amount of times worth of something. 어치 would be an amount of something like value, like money or weight, some sort of measurement. Okay. Oh, Lexica. Lexica, thank you. Let's read your message. Lexica says, Muppets at minute 7, perfect. Autocorrect is slowing me down. Not perfect. I got my wife now says, perfect, even more than I say it. Anytime I'll say perfect, normally she'll repeat from the side of me. She'll be like, perfect, like that. Yeah, I think Muppets could be good. Animaniacs. Dude, yeah. I aced my state capitals test that I took in high school by memorizing Yakko's song for the capitals of the US. I kid you not. I memorized that song and then took the test and aced it because I just couldn't memorize them otherwise. But I remembered all of his. I can't remember now all of them, but yeah. No, there would not be a space because the verb is ida, which always attaches directly without a space. Yeah, Muppet Dune would be incredible. Can you imagine? Or like Muppet Star Wars, like the originals, the OG Star Wars. I'm a huge fan of OG Star Wars. I'm no offense, but I don't like the prequels or the sequels. And I don't even like the special edition, but the OG Star Wars, I think they've got so much charm, and they're already like Muppets. They already are Muppets. But imagine if they remade the whole movie with Muppets. I think it would work. I think you could take like any movie that's not too serious and remake it with Muppets, and it would be like just as good. Yeah, but I think it would especially work well with classic movies that people think should never be remade. Like, oh, never touch Back to the Future, but Muppet Back to the Future, I think would be okay. I'd be fine with that. Remake it. Okay. Muppet Babies did some Star Wars jokes. Oh yeah, they did. Definitely. Yeah. What makes a great Muppet movie is the Muppets plus one human actor. Yeah. You have real people. It's filmed like a real movie. So they don't it's not for kids. It's just a regular movie and they just replace the main actors with Muppets. But everyone doesn't treat them as Muppets. You treat them as actors. So you just film it like a regular movie, but instead of actors, a few of them are Muppets. And you make all the main characters, no, the real main characters are going to be a human, and then all the side characters are going to be Muppets, or like most of them. So if you were to remake Dune, for example, you would have, who's that guy? The Dune actor. Why can't I think of his shot? Yeah, Timothée Chalamet. You'd have Timothée Chalamet play himself. He would be back in the role. But the girl would be Miss Piggy. And you would have Kermit in the movie as something else as well. And then you would have like Gonzo would be the evil guy. I can't even remember the name. I like the movies, I just don't remember the cast members. You would just like do it like that. And then you'd have like human assistants like with them. So you just put them in the movie, sprinkle them in the movie, but you don't treat them any different than the other actors. They're just like, they're just characters. Okay. This is my voice. This part of our lesson is for advanced learners. So if you are not advanced, you do not need this. It's not that common, but there's another word, 많지, which has the same meaning as 만큼. 많지, again, is the exact same as 만큼. However, there's a pretty big difference. It sounds a lot older. It sounds like older speech, so it's not very common. But you might also see 많지, which is this chi, and wonder, where did it come from? Is this anything different? Is this special? It's the exact same thing. The reason for that, if you're advanced and you're listening anyway, is that the meaning of 만큼 is like an amount of something as well. That meaning of an amount actually just comes from this part, man, by itself. 큼 has a different meaning that's used for emphasis of man, but here as well, man does all the heavy lifting. Chi is just I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly what it is because I don't know exactly why they picked chi to attach onto man. I could speculate, but man by itself is what means that amount by itself. So anyway, 많지 and 만큼 have the exact same meaning. So let me give you one quick example. After I check this super chat, Nastaria. Wow, Nastaria, thank you so much. Nastaria wrote a message as well. Petition for Billy to make the next big Muppets movie coming 2027. That's a tall order. You want me to make a Muppets movie in 2 years? I'm not even a director, but I accept if there's a director out there that wants to make a Muppet remake, I would vote. My vote would be do Back to the Future, which is a movie that you could never touch. Bob Zemeckis, those guys would never let you touch their property, but I think you could get away with Muppets. I think they'd let you do it with Muppets, and they would have some cameos from the original cast here and there, but you could do it. Totally, you could do it. Like I said, Gonzo is going to be the doc. You would have maybe you can get Tom Holland for Marty. You got to get a human actor in there, and then you'd have Biff would also be a Muppet. I'm not sure which Muppet would be the bully. That's you got to think about that a little bit. You can't have that really big monster guy as the bully. I can't remember his name. You'd have to have someone a little bit more reasonable. But anyway, yeah, can work on. And I have a few other ideas too. I think Dune could work too. All right. So let me give you a quick example. Again, this is an advanced level, so don't feel bad if you can't get this if you're not at that level yet. 이만치, which is the same meaning as 이만큼. One word, and it means this much. So 이만큼, 이만치 했으면. So if you did this much, if you've done this much already, 됐어요. That's it. That's good. So it's fine if you've just done this much. So you can stop now. If you've done this much, that's enough. 됐어요. It's finished. 이만큼, 이만치 했으면 됐어요. But this 이만치 version is going to be much less common, and it sounds like older style speech. Just be aware though, if you see it, it's the same meaning. And it can be used in all the same ways as 만큼 as well. Okay, that is our lesson about ㄷ and ㅊ. Let me quickly do a thumbnail. See, something like this. Yeah, there we go. All right, and there is no live stream next Sunday since we had 3 classes in a row, so I'm going to take the next week off. I'm going to take questions now for the next 20 minutes, as I say, and then it ends up going 40 minutes. But yeah, the next 20 minutes, I'm going to take questions. Billy can do lessons as a Muppet. Yeah. Tim Curry, Tim Curry, God. Tim Curry, if I could go back in time, I would get Tim Curry back from the future, like to bring him back, because we don't have enough of Tim Curry. We need more. But he doesn't do work anymore very much. Like, he'll do rare appearances or voices here and there, but he doesn't do much. Michael Caine, yeah, Michael Caine was great. He was fabulous. But really, they've gotten a lot of good actors to work with the Muppets. Like, as long as you're just acting, you're not like playing, like acting to the Muppets or anything. You're just acting like normal. I think it works really well. Patrick Stewart, I think, could be another one they should get. I don't know if they already have gotten him. I feel like they haven't. He could be a good actor with Muppets. You want someone like who's got that serious, you know, a lot of that serious vibe to them, like a true actor's actor. Go Muppet Korean, yes. Never enough Tim Curry. Yeah, there's never enough Tim Curry. Did you ever see that movie? Tim Curry was in a movie called Oscar, which is lesser known, but it's great. If you haven't seen it, it's worth watching at least once. And he's really good in that movie. I mean, he's good in everything, but yeah, especially, I don't know, especially he's just good in everything. But that's another one that you should check out if you haven't seen it. What are your thoughts on italki and HelloTalk? italki is a tutoring service for finding tutors. There are several, and italki is one of them. That's what I think. HelloTalk is an app for making Korean pen pals, or most of the time it's for Korean pen pals to make English-speaking pen pals. I should say that. Most of the time it's for people who are looking for English-speaking people for language practice, but it's one of those apps. And there are other apps, but that's one of them. Jason Statham beats up Muppets. Oh, Jason Statham you can do a Muppet. You could do, oh. Ocean's 11 Muppets. Muppets Ocean 11. That would be great. Do a Muppets Ocean 11. I'm not a huge fan of like the sequels to that, but the first one was really good. Muppet Zorro could be cool too, but I think with the action though, that's going to be a problem. If it's a movie that requires like sword fighting or something like that, it can be a little bit tricky to film. Like if you were trying to do like a Muppet John Wick, that's going to be a bit ridiculous because part of the appeal of those movies in the first place is watching the action sequences. But if you can get an action movie where it doesn't rely on necessarily the action sequences, but on the writing and the feel, like Ocean's 11 could work. Yeah, I think that would be good. And then you still have like some famous actors in there. Like you still just make Brad Pitt just Brad Pitt. George Clooney, just have him do it again. He's just George Clooney. But all the other people that are helping him are the crazy Muppets. I think that'd be funny. Yeah. Do you think Discord is an effective way? Discord is just a chat. That's like saying, is Skype an effective way of language practice? It doesn't matter. It's just a tool. Like, is texting an effective? It's whatever, wherever you find someone to practice with. The Great Muppet Caper, it's like Ocean 11 already, kind of, but it's not the same type of movie. Anyone watch Supernatural? Didn't they have a Scooby-Doo bit as well in there? Muppet Fast and Furious. Oh no. Oh hey, Kiwi Pear. Okay, now I totally recognize the one and only. Yes, I do remember. 4 years? Has it been 4 years? No, I remember your username. I don't think it's been 4 years, has it? How would you recommend I go about it as a B1-ish? Okay, if you're in the same boat, you studied Korean in the past and you stopped for a while, like years, and you're getting back into it, what should I do is the question I always get. And what I really recommend you do is go back to the beginning. Unless you, no matter what your level is, if it's been a while, I recommend go back to the beginning and speed run back up to where you think you should be. Because when you were away from Korean, you randomly started losing things. It's not like you lost a little bit. It's actually you lost nothing. Like you're still at your level, but you lost all these random pieces that are in the middle. And you cannot just go back a little bit and think you're going to continue. You're going to realize there's so many holes in your learning that prevent you from going further. Go back to the very beginning, like the alphabet beginning, unless that's like laughably simple, you can't even bother to do that again. Go back to the alphabet, and then you'll be able to speed run through everything else. Like I have a beginner course, watch lesson 1, go all the way through it. You could probably do like 10 lessons a day, not even kidding. And then you'll get to a part in a lesson where you're like, oh, I knew the numbers, but I didn't know this. I forgot that. Oh yeah, I forgot that. Learn that one thing, go to the next lesson, and you'll find eventually you'll reach a point where you start learning mostly new things, and that's where your level is. But that's what I recommend. I've done this before with Japanese before. I did Korean. You kind of go back to the beginning and speed run your way back to where you are. Spend a few weeks doing that. It doesn't even take that long. If you are actually at like an intermediate level, it doesn't really take long to go back and learn everything up to an intermediate level. What takes a long time is normally all the practice and time that goes into it. But if you really are at the knowledge level of an intermediate, you can speed run back there in like a week or two. Like, I'm not even kidding. You can like speed through all the grammar really quick if that's actually what your level is now. And that way you'll be sure not to miss anything on the way. So that's what I would say. It's kind of a boring answer, but it's also kind of fun because you get to go back and feel like, oh, I totally know this. Oh, that's super easy. And then, here and there, you'll find things that you actually forgot. Rebecca says, I appreciate the lesson. It's great to listen to while I made dinner. Oh, nice. I used to watch The Muppet Show every Sunday before bedtime. Yeah, I used to watch The Muppet Show. Bum, 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 bum. Becoming fluent in Korean, any percent speedrun. Here, if you, funny thing happens, if you keep pronouncing this letter, you'll actually glitch through the lesson, and then you can skip up to lesson 100 right away. Something like that. I learned some Japanese before I dedicated myself to Korean. Yeah, a lot of us did the same thing. We started with Japanese because that was more, at the time when I started, there wasn't like a Korean community of people learning Korean. It was very small. It wasn't a thing to say I'm learning Korean because there was no reason to learn Korean other than to learn Korean at the time. There weren't like very many popular dramas. There was like one movie, Old Boy, I think was the only movie that broke out of Korean anyway. So, yeah, but now there's a ton. So at that time, most people would start with Japanese because that was easy to get into. And then they find Korean through some other way and then kind of transfer to Korean. That's what I did as well. Anyabas said, should I start with, you're asking if you should start with Hangul. And the answer is yes. You want to start with the alphabet before anything else. Midzi says, next week doesn't have a live, but the next one will. Yes, this coming Sunday, there is no live stream, but the next one will. Oh, if you haven't already, make sure to vote on my community tab. There is a very important vote right now on my community tab about my next project. You'll probably want to weigh in on it because it'll be a really big thing. I have already written outlines for, I actually did 6, but I picked out 4, the 4 that I have the highest chance of doing next. I picked 4. And I'm letting you vote on what the next full Korean class should be. So we're looking at, I don't know, I haven't started it, so we don't know how many lessons it's going to be, but let's just say 20 lessons, 25 lessons of a full free course, and you can pick which one it's going to be. So check that out in my community tab. But I'm going to start working on that full time from tomorrow. So maybe after a few months, you'll start seeing that. Old Boy was definitely my first exposure to Korean. See, I didn't actually see that movie until like maybe 5-6 years ago. I was fluent. Rebecca says, I was fluent in German 15 years ago and never use it anymore. It's nice to hear I could easily pick it back up if I need to. I swear the Korean is overriding the German. Yeah, that's what happens is if you don't use it for a long time, your level is actually not going down. You have the grammar knowledge and a lot of stuff at that level. It doesn't go down that quickly. What happens though is really quickly gaps start to form. You forget the stuff in between that's kind of holding you up there. So you are still that level. And if you go back to these lessons, you'll feel like, oh, I know that concept. I know that concept. Like you have the foundation there, the structure there, but you're missing all of these things inside of there. And there's no way to fill those in. There's no way to go back and like just learn the little pieces you're missing. You have to actually just start from the beginning and speed run through it. The good news though is like it doesn't take very long. Because I did that for Japanese. I had done Japanese for a while and then I forgot because I stopped doing it. And I just went back to the very beginning of the book that I had. I think I still have that book and just speed run through the entire book. And it worked pretty good. But if that doesn't work, then you would want to go, you need to add in additional, you can't just do that alone, but you still want to add in extra resources that are appropriate for your level. So you would do like listening resources like shows or podcasts or YouTube channels or something like that to continue where you're going, to continue where you're at. But you would need to, in order to get back up to that level solidly, you have to fill it in. There's not really a faster way to fill it in. Attack the gas station? What's attack the gas station? What's that? I think my first exposure to Korean ever may have been that there was like I'm not sure if it's the Flash animation. It might have been that Flash animation for the that one song. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, there's like a Flash animation when I was like, I don't know, early in high school. Or even maybe before then, I don't know. It came out and it was pretty popular and it was a Korean song. And I didn't even know it was Korean. Either that or it was one of the songs from the dancing game Da Pump, which was also Korean. And I didn't know it was Korean at the time either. Probably one of those. Someone else says Ragnarok Online. Okay. Keith says, will you make a book to go with it and monetize a bit for the new course? The video course, I'm thinking I'll do I don't want to spoil too much because I haven't decided everything yet, but likely it'll be the same as what I did with the conversation course, which is the course is completely free, but there will also be a book version that's paid if you want to get that. That'll be so people can like support me, but that they don't have to in order to get the materials. Caden says, wanted to say thanks. They really helped me. Nice. Nicole says, I learned Hangul and can recognize the letters. Should it be easy from now on to try and become almost fluent? Easy? No. Can you do it? Yes. But learning the alphabet is the very first step. Fluency can take 20 years. It could take, like I said, it could take like a year. It could take 6 months if you're like a language genius and you live in Korea and you just eat and breathe only Korean 24 hours a day, then yeah, sure, someone could do that in, 6 months or 8 months. But most people that doesn't happen. It's, I don't know, maybe a year or two of living in Korea or more, depending on how much you're using it. And what I see though is most people don't get a lot of exposure to Korean. Most people don't go out of their way to use it, which is why it can be really hard. But those that do, it's usually pretty quick. Korean movie where a gang takes over a gas station, but all sorts of things go wrong. Okay, I never saw it. I know like maybe a handful of Korean movies, and I don't have any Korean movie that I enjoyed watching. I hate to say, I don't think I've enjoyed watching a single Korean movie. Have I? I haven't watched that many, but I haven't really enjoyed any. There was one that was like really, a couple that I've seen that are like goofy and I had fun watching them, but that I wouldn't recommend. So yeah, not really. I'm not into Korean for the movies or shows or anything like that. It's more just I have Korean friends and I have a reason to use it. Angel's World says the alphabet for Hangul is easy. Reading is another level. Depending on the type of thing you're reading, yes. Tiffany asks, have you watched Parasite? Of course. I didn't like it. Busan Heng, I also saw it. Didn't like it. Yeah. Says Aniabas says, I wanted to try making kimchi. That started my journey into wanting to learn Korean. Nice. Not into K-pop or K-drama. So kimchi was your first exposure to Korean. That's a first. I've never heard that before. Reason to use Korean wife. Yeah, actually, no, I already knew Korean long before I met my wife. So not really. And unfortunately, she hasn't helped me improve my Korean, which is anyone who has a Korean partner will realize that's the case. You're not learning Korean from your partner. You're spending time with your partner. You're not using them as a language resource. Music. I do listen to Korean music, but not the music that you all listen to. That I don't mean that as like a hipster or anything, but I listen to sometimes, usually I'm working, if I'm writing something, I can't listen to something with lyrics. It's distracting. So I'll just listen to soundtrack music. But if I'm listening to Korean music, it'll be something that I'm really familiar with that doesn't distract me. And that'll be like hip hop, which is easy to listen to while I'm working. I don't have to think about the lyrics. Let's see. Swatter says, what type of movies do you like then? Oh, I love watching movies. I just don't like the structure of Korean movies, if that makes sense. It's a different type of story structure, character structure that I don't like for some reason. It just doesn't mesh with me. No offense if you do like it. I know a lot of people do. But I watch tons of movies besides Korea. I just don't watch Korean movies. But if you're talking about like American-made movies or Hollywood movies or sometimes European movies, that's totally fine. The Handmaiden. I've heard about that. I have not seen it. But I probably won't. Caro says it was on a Korean movie channel in Hawaii back in the early 2000s. Okay. Early 2000s, then yeah, I would not have ever seen anything like that. The first time I even turned on the TV to a Korean station was in 2005. Bean Zeno. I know about Bean Zeno. It's not who I listen to, but K-pop and K-drama brought me to learning Korean. Rebecca, yes, you are not alone. I think that's most people. Swatter says, do you have a favorite? A favorite, what? Favorite what? Oh, Cosma asks an interesting question about learning Korean with listening practice. When I'm doing listening practice, should I stop for every word that I don't know? Yes. If you are able to do that, yes. Pause for every single word you don't know and look it up. Do you have to learn that word? No. But you should be able to look up the word and be able to finish reading the sentence before you resume the video. Do you have to do this? No. If you want, you can simply just listen to tons and tons of Korean. Eventually, you'll hear a word enough that then you're like, oh, wait, what's that word? You look it up really quick and you know the other words already because you've heard them so much. But yeah, if you can, every single time you see a word you don't know, look it up. If you want, you can write it down, but at least just look it up. I still do that. That's what I did when I was learning Korean. Any single word I heard that I didn't know what it meant, I would write down and then I'd look it up. Every single word. And like a lot of the words in the beginning turned out to not be words. I just didn't understand the grammar. I didn't know how they were using a certain word, or I just didn't hear their pronunciation. I wrote it down wrong. But eventually, yeah, nowadays, if I hear a new word, I'll always write it down or I'll look it up right then. If I think it's an important word, I'll add it to my deck. Otherwise, I'll just, look it up and whatever. If I hear it again, maybe I'll recognize it. Maybe I'll look it up again. Mikey says, I recommend the drama Anna with Bae-suji on Prime. Not a typical lovey-dovey series. Ryan says, I don't like how the guy is always stepped all over in the K-dramas. It depends on the drama. I have enjoyed some Korean dramas, but most of them I don't. I don't watch 99.9999% of Korean dramas are not for me, but I have enjoyed a few. Midzi says, all lives can we watch later? Yes, all lives are available, as well as the abridged versions. Although if you are a member, you get to watch the abridged lives tonight. They'll go up live. For everyone else, you'll get to watch them usually like Wednesday. Billy, are you able to know the slang words for Korean language when you hear it? I'm able to recognize if a word is slang, and if it's a word I don't know, some random slang word like that's brand new or someone's just using, I can recognize they're using some sort of shortened or slang word at least. But then if it's really a new word I don't know, I could just ask them, what does that mean? And then they can tell me the regular word for it. But if it's a commonly used slang word, I'll probably recognize it just because it's commonly used. But there are a lot of words in Korean, like slang words, that you'll hear people using that are not very common, and you can just kind of ignore those. Just like in English, sometimes Koreans will try to push a slang word that they like in conversation and use it a lot. This happens on shows a lot, that a character, like an actor on a show, will keep using a specific slang word that literally only they use, but they'll use it as if it's a real word because they're hoping to push it to become popular. That way they can be known for creating this slang word. It happens all the time on shows. It really bugs me, but whatever. But that's like a lot of slang words were created by people appearing on TV shows and repeatedly using this new word that literally no one uses and acting like it's a real word. So that's a thing, but you can usually recognize if someone's doing that because they'll say a word that has doesn't match the sentence at all. Like you've never heard the word before. What's the difference between yu, chon, and te, hanta? Yes, they are all different. Yu is to exist. Te is to be living specifically, and chon is to be existing somewhere. Like, well, you can use chonje together if you're talking about like that. But the only way to tell the difference really would be inside of a word. But the biggest difference is that yu is simply for to existing or to not exist. Like it is somewhere or it isn't. And the other ones specifically are talking about residing somewhere, like living somewhere, being somewhere, or in currently, like right now, somewhere like that. So they're used for different words, but if you think of them all as ita, they all are ita. They just work in different words. Like Mean Girls trying to make fetch happen. Exactly. That sort of thing. It's so common in Korea where people will try to push slang words or new expressions or whatever, and they'll catch on a little bit and then die out. And then a few of them will actually stick around for more than like a month. But every once in a while, I'll hear someone say, oh, did you hear this new word or whatever? Or they'll start using this word and you'll find out it's from a TV show and then no one uses it anymore after that. Yeah, 존재's existence. Liberty City from 2000. I don't know that. Annie Abbas is asking about Korean, how to type it. Yes, you need to install a Korean keyboard on your computer or on your phone to do that. But you don't need to buy a keyboard. You can just install one. Culinary class wars quotes. What's that? Let's see. Heidi says, due to a loss in my family, I was looking for non-English music because I wanted something I didn't understand, and I found BTS. I know that BTS is going to be doing, like they're all going to be finishing their military service this year, right? Yeah, they're all going to, and they're going to be doing some sort of concert or something coming up in the summertime. That's all I know for this year. Like the Netflix show, lots of Koreans use quotes from it for memes. Yeah, so I wouldn't worry too much about trying to keep up with memes in Korea because it's a lot of them are just topical. And if you know it right then, that's cool. But if you don't and you wait a year, you didn't need to know it anymore. It's no longer applicable. I can think of a lot of words that I learned that people were using that no one ever touches anymore. So don't worry too much about keeping up with every single thing going on in Korean all the time. If you're a few years back, you're going to be okay because the ones that are still going on a few years later are the real ones. Those are the ones that are actually going to stick around anyway. But you don't need to spend too much of your effort on the newer ones. You can hear them, but I wouldn't go to the effort of like studying them is what I mean. Festa, their anniversary in June. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, installing it is really easy. Billy, when we go to Korea and they only do bank transfer, are we as tourists basically out of luck? No. So, if you are going to... If you buy something from a snack cart, any sort of like vendor that's not like a store but just a regular vendor, they might have a sign that says 계좌 이체. 계좌 이체, literally like bank transfer. It's like account transferring. And that's where you have a Korean bank account and you enter in the person's number and you confirm their name and you send them money. You can do that over your phone. You can do it on a desktop. It's really easy to do. Koreans do this all the time because you don't have to deal with the credit card fees. It's just a direct bank transfer. However, the reason they do this is because those places don't accept credit cards. They don't have a credit card machine. Like they're just standing on the side of the road or whatever, or they're in a little booth, or maybe they're selling something at an event. So they can't accept cards. They don't have a system for that, but they also will accept cash most of the time. So here's what you can do. You carry around cash. If they say no cash, we only accept account transfer, then look over to a Korean next to you and say, hey, can I give you, and give them like an extra ton or something in case they have any fees. Say, hey, can I give you cash and you send it over? If you're with a friend, try that. Obviously, don't do this to a stranger, but they'll probably accept cash. It just means they don't want to deal with the credit card. So that's what it is. And yeah, you'll see a lot of places that say 계좌 이체 for payment, but you cannot do that if you don't have a Korean credit card. I'm sorry, a Korean bank account. But yeah, usually they also accept cash. In fact, if you're talking about the little street side vendors, they all accept cash. I'm still broke, Angel's World says. I don't even have my passport yet. I just bought luggage. Nastaria says, I wish I knew that before I got hit with the international transaction fees. Yeah, before you go to Korea, if you can get credit cards that don't have an international transaction fee, but then you have to pay money for those typically. If you are paying the transaction fee, it's not too much. But if you're doing something you're paying with everything on that card, yeah, it's an extra 5% or 3% or something like that. So it can kind of add up. If you're spending like $1,000, well, now you're spending an extra, extra $50 on transaction fees, but it's not going to be too much usually. Still though, I recommend getting some cash when you're going to Korea before you go. That way you can at least pay for things that you're buying at the store, like small stores. If you're buying, you just want to buy something for like $1. You don't need to necessarily swipe your card and pay like a big, fee for it. Yeah, bring some cash. Capital One has a card without international transaction fees without a fee. Oh, that's great. Okay, get that. Be careful when you get it. Check the other terms and conditions of the card. And you can get Korean money from your bank directly. The exchange rate is usually not bad. If you can do it before you go to Korea, Try get some of it cash from your bank. And if you can't, then there are places that you can exchange your money to in Korea that aren't terrible for the exchange rate either. But yeah, I always carry around some cash in my wallet. I can't really show you my wallet because see my credit card on there, but I'll always carry around in my wallet about 2만 원, so like 20,000 won. Just I'll fold it up and put it in the back of my cell phone. Did I say wallet? Well, my cell phone has a little wallet in the back of it. I'll put about 20,000 won in there, and I always carry that around because there are some restaurants that don't take card, or you don't want to spend you don't want to buy something for 1,000 won and then use your card. That's kind of like they won't take it in the first place. But sometimes you just need to pay a little bit, so I always carry around some cash. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the stream in just 10 minutes. So any other questions before we go? How much is 20,000 won? Right now, I think it's about like $15 about. How long does it take to catch up with spoken Korean better when watching variety shows? I don't understand the question. You mean how long does it take to learn Korean well enough so that you can understand variety shows? That's just how long does it take to be fluent in Korean, essentially. So yeah, it'll depend completely on how much you're studying. Producer or Prod Dead Mary says, what are some realistic Korean learning goals to be aiming for as a beginner? I would say a daily study goal. Hold on. Just wipe my nose. I would say a daily study goal is going to be more better than just saying how well I'm going to be speaking Korean study goal, because how well you're going to be speaking Korean by a certain time is really difficult to set when you're not able to completely immerse yourself in the language. I think better as a beginner, especially a new beginner, is to set a daily goal. Just how much time I'm going to be spending learning Korean. Like today I'm going to do, like my goal for this year, I want it to be every day I spend 10 minutes sitting down and studying Korean, 10 to 15 minutes, sitting down and actually studying grammar, like grammar or vocab or something like that. Or no, let's do 10 minutes of grammar, 5 minutes of vocab every day, no matter what. As a new beginner, that should be okay to start with. And on top of that, I'm going to spend an additional 15 or 20 minutes doing listening practice where I watch something in Korean and I do not look at English subtitles at all. Maybe I turn on Korean subtitles. Maybe I just don't turn on any, but I'm actively trying to listen to it. I'm not just like turning it on while I'm using my phone and looking up something on Facebook, but I'm listening to it, trying to understand it, even though I don't get it, but just trying to understand it like that. I think a time goal would be much more useful. And obviously that's only 30 minutes of time. If you have more, I can give you suggestions for how much you should study instead, but that's like the minimum is like, let's say 30 minutes every single day. And that's how it's divided. 10 minutes of grammar, 5 minutes of vocab, 15 minutes of listening practice. This is like the tiniest goal I can come up with. But that 15 minutes you can do any time during the day. You can like do that while you're like, eating your breakfast in the morning. Just turn on a YouTuber who speaks Korean and listen to that. That's 15 minutes of listening practice right there. Something like that is what I would try to go for. Angel's Word said, how much money should you carry around the first time you're in South Korea? I mean, I've never heard of anyone getting mugged, so go for it. Carry around just carry around a gigantic briefcase, like a metal briefcase, wear a black suit, have sunglasses, and get like a short haircut, and just walk around like this, carrying the metal briefcase, like handcuff it to your wrist. Just do that. Like, who cares? No, you don't want to carry around more than you're going to need for the day because it's going to hurt your pocket. I always carry around 20,000 won, and then everything else I'll pay for with a card. If you want to know what I do. But if you're touring and actually doing stuff in Korea, it's not enough money. You're probably going to want at least 100,000 per day to carry around as a tourist. And then the rest can be in cards. So like anytime you're buying anything big, like paying for tickets, paying for a train, anything like that, put on the card. Anytime you're buying souvenirs or snacks or like food from a small restaurant that's not like a big chain, pay with cash. I think that should be more than enough. With taxi, yeah, carry around taxi. And then whenever you see someone at the subway sitting there, like open your briefcase and show them all the money, and then play some takji with them, and then like slap them on the side of the face and see how quick you get arrested in Korea. I don't know. Yeah, I was gonna say try it jokingly, but I'm like, actually don't try it. You'd probably get arrested and people would not like it. I finally watched season 2 of Squid Games, Kai says. Did your predictions happen? Yes, and no. But the really big ones, though, did happen. But some of the predictions I made are actually also for season 3. And if you've seen season 2, you know why I'm saying this. But I will say one prediction. This is not a spoiler. Although, I don't know. You could think of it as a spoiler. So maybe close your ears and your eyes for a second. I predicted that Charsu is, Youngie is, and Charsu. Youngie is the robot, the girl robot. Charsu is originally the friend, or you can think of it as boyfriend, but they're not really boyfriend, girlfriend. They're just friends. Charsu is the boy and Youngie is the girl. So I predicted that Charsu would appear in Squid Game in season 2. And he does. Kind of. But he is. You'll see him. Charsu the robot. So I predicted that. That was correct. And if you want to read more predictions I made, I actually posted my predictions in Discord in my off-topic channel before I started watching the show. So you can read the predictions I made. Some of them are like, oh, that's totally wrong. Others of them are exactly right. But yeah, so we'll have to see what happens with season 3 though, to see if the other ones are correct. But yeah, no spoilers besides that. Like Charsu is not a spoiler because, like I said, it's nothing. Nothing happens. I also had a prediction. Well, if you read my thing in off topic, there's one really funny prediction though that it's like exact that I did, just randomly came out to be exact. But I won't say it. So check that out if you want to see it. Okay. What's the best tip when you're looking for a place to stay in South Korea? Okay, just 4 minutes left and then I'm gonna go for anyone here. The best tip for looking for a place to stay is location is everything. If you are someone who is going to Korea for your first time, the most important thing you can pay attention to is what location you're in. So pick somewhere close to the places you want to go to. For someone like me, my tips for staying in Korea are different than yours because I don't go to Korea as a tourist. I go to Korea as a content creator, as just a person. So I stay in the place that I know I can get around easily, that has stuff that I need, that's close to where I want to be filming or people I want to be meeting for filming. So it's different goals than a tourist. I don't stay in the touristy areas because I don't ever go there. But if you're going to Korea, it's just the location. Price-wise is if you want to have an experience equivalent to a hotel in the US, you're going to be paying hundreds of dollars per night. If you're okay just staying in like a small apartment, it has running water, you can kind of shower underneath the sink. Like if you're okay with that, then you can get a really cheap place in like any of the booking websites or like Airbnb or even directly through someone. If you have a recommendation from anyone who stayed at anywhere before, you might be able to directly work with them and set up a place as well. But you're looking at something less than, $30 or $40 per night. And that's usually what I do. Your community seems awesome. I'm happy. Oh yeah, let me post that in the chat. I have a Discord channel. It's completely free. You can join. A lot of people are there. Hey, Mikey. Thank you, Mikey. Let's see what Mikey says. If you go to Korea for the first time for a month, you think one Airbnb in one location or split it up and stay in different areas week by week? Okay, for me, I prefer being in one location because the way that I live in an Airbnb is I make it like my hub. Like I set my home address and my neighbor maps to that place. I'll set it up so I can get deliveries there. I'll put up like a shower curtain. I'll like get all the things I need to live there comfortably, right? I might even like ask the owner or whatever, hey, can you change the sheets for me? I'll get like a new pillowcase, like everything I set up so that it's like while I'm there, it's like it's my home. I hate having to move around because I've just got it all set up. I want to stay there for as long as possible, but I am not traveling much. I'm just in that location for filming and stuff and for meeting people. If you're in Korea, not filming, but you're in Korea for traveling, you should be moving around. If it's your first time though in Korea, you probably are going to stay in one location because you're going to be only in Seoul. You might spend like one day where you go out to like Busan or Daejeon, but you can come back the same day. Unless you're going to be staying somewhere for more than a week, I wouldn't move. So if, for example, if your goal is to go to Korea and stay in Seoul for a month, just stay in one place in Seoul. Don't bother moving around. It's just going to be a pain to do check in, check out, because you're going to spend one whole, like a half of a day just moving in and moving out to another place, or maybe a whole day if the place is dirty or you need stuff. Like, you know, you have a washing machine at one place, but you didn't realize the other place doesn't. So now you have to find another place to do your laundry, or you found a place to do your laundry already, and the new place, you have to find a new place. So you're spending like a whole day or two organizing that. So I say stick to one place unless you're planning on staying in a different city. So if you're going to be doing like, I want to do 2 weeks in Seoul and 1 week in Busan, that's my goal. Then of course, move. Or like any city that takes more than an hour to get to by car or by train or whatever, any place that's more than an hour away, definitely move there if you're going to be there for more than a few days, because you don't want to be going to like, you know, even Daejeon, which isn't that far from Seoul. It's like an hour and a half. Even Daejeon, you wouldn't want to be going back and forth every single day. It's like 20, 30,000 won per trip. And you're going to be spending that twice a day, like, and hours to get there and back. So yeah, if you're going to be staying in Seoul, just stay in Seoul. If you're planning on going to a different city, like you have a real need to go to Daegu or Daejeon or Busan or any other city or Jeju, then yes, move. So yeah, stay in the same place unless you have a good reason. Okay. And my tablet just died, which is a good sign that I should stop. So everyone, thank you for coming. If there are any last minute questions, I'm just going to check the chat really quick. Yes. You could also get a hostel on the fly for a weekend trip from your Seoul base. Yeah. I know some people who did that, but it only works if you don't have much luggage or you're not getting any souvenirs. So if you're planning on doing that, do not do any of your shopping until right before you go back to your home, because you're going to be lugging around all this stuff that you bought on your trip. But if you have everything in just one suitcase, then yeah, it's not a big deal to like move to another apartment or move to another place. I usually don't though. I have to, like whenever I go to Korea, what I do is I have to visit my mother-in-law and go to her place and pick up a bunch of stuff that I have in Korea. Like I leave some tripods there, like really heavy stuff that I use every single time I'm in Korea, so that I don't have to carry, you know, 10 pounds of equipment back and forth from the US to Korea. I have a duplicate in Korea. Like I have like a $30 tripod in Korea. I just keep it there. So I go to my mother-in-law's house every single time, pick that stuff up, and then bring it to my apartment. And it'll be like these giant boxes that I carry every single time. So for me, moving around is impractical. Kai, wait, hold on. Kai says she donated on PayPal. Kai, why did you donate on PayPal instead of YouTube? Thank you so much. But why? Yeah, I see that. Thank you, Billy. Please do one session on subject marker or topic marker. Oh, I've done lots of lessons on that. Make sure to check my channel. No transaction fee. That's true. There isn't, there's much lower transaction fee on PayPal than on YouTube. Kai said their Apple Pay was acting up. You should have tried it. That's why you got to do Adobe Pay. Adobe Pay should work better next time. Thank you, Kai. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Again, next Sunday, there is no class, but I'll see you the Sunday after that. If you haven't already, check out my community tab on my YouTube page because there's a vote, a really important vote going on for the next full course that I'm going to make. So you get to pick the next full course. And I will see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. Oh wait, Judy, you messed up my exit. I was gonna leave and then Judy. Thank you, Judy. Your timing is horrible, okay? I was just about to end. And you say thank you as always. Thank you. Thank you, Judy. Okay, I'm gonna try again. Okay, take 2. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. Okay, no one donate. Nobody donate anything else.